Let us talk to a man who had a phenomenal 2024. His organization had a phenomenal 2024 as well, and they are primed to have a massive 2025. Let us talk to the founder, the face, the man, El Presidente of BKFC. Huge show coming up on the 25th of January in Philadelphia. Is he here? Dave Feldman. Come on in, my friend. Great to see you.
How you doing?
Thank you so much.
Good to see you.
It's a pleasure. Oh, you brought some gifts.
No swag.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Have a seat. Very kind of you. And is this the first time?
Yeah.
Is the
First time in studio.
First time in
Absolutely.
studio.
First time I ever met you.
Amazing, amazing. I think they have your chair a little bit low. Do you want to raise it up there? I don't want you to look.
Sure.
And we get the lighting on, Dave. There it is. That's
There
a little
you go.
better. Yeah.
Good?
Yeah. Look at you. You're fit, huh?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. You obviously
Gotta
former
stand
boxer
straight.
as well.
Former boxer.
Thank you so much for coming in.
I'm glad to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Congratulations on a big 2024.
Thank you.
Obviously, we talked a couple of times, and a massive 2025 to come. We're, if my math is correct, 17 days away from Philly, Wells Fargo. Now, this is incredible to me because this is the Wells Fargo Center, home of the Flyers and the Sixers. Matchroom had 2 cards there over the past 6 months. Boots Ennis, right? Philly boy. UFC had a show there, UFC 101. They had a fight night. As things currently stand, you're going to blow them out of the water as far as tickets sold, gate, all that, right?
Yeah, we will definitely 100% break the attendance record there. The gate looks like we're going to blow them out of the water there as well. It's fantastic. You know, Philly is a tough city, so you don't know whether they're going to support you or they're not. And they came out. I mean, we're almost 13,000 tickets now. We're pacing for 17,800 tickets to completely sell out. Phenomenal start for the year for us.
And you've had to open up sections, right? Like perhaps initially you didn't think it would do this well?
We set it up for about 13,000 initially. We just added 2,000 and then another 2,000. So we're at 17,000 set up now. And if we get to where we think we're going to go, we're going to open up the remaining 800 and have a packed house.
And what do you think the gate will be, if you don't mind me asking?
It looks like the gate's going to be a little over 2 million.
Wow. Would that be your highest gate ever?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
And so do you think this is because of Eddie Alvarez, who's Philly's son, right? Do you think this is because of the growth of BKFC? What do you attribute this incredible success to?
I think it's because it's our home city, because it's Eddie Alvarez and our home city together, because a lot of people really, supported BKFC, but they didn't get a chance to watch it live. We have a pretty big following back home, me, my brother, a lot of guys are on the team. We know a lot of people back there, and everybody was very excited about it. And first day of ticket sales, I think we did a little over 3,000 on the opening day. So I was like, wow, man, what a great start. And they just came out, and the tickets are flying now. It's really humbling, it's beautiful, and it's unbelievable for us, and I love it.
Do you live in Philadelphia?
I do, right outside of Philadelphia.
So when you say it's home, it's a home game, but this will be your first event in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, the previous head of the commission wasn't a big fan.
No.
Now there's a new head of the commission for Pennsylvania, and that's what opened the door.
Yeah, Ed Kunkel is the new guy. Greg Sir was the past guy. He just said no for nine times in a row. And then as soon as Ed Kunkel opened it up, literally got a date, have a great event here, KnuckleMania, and it's going to sell out. It's going to break the combat sports record at the Wells Fargo Center. I mean, that's pretty incredible. Pretty great way to start off the year.
That must feel like validation, right?
It's
the old guard.
And it's funny because the old commissioner is actually working the event. He's going to be working the event.
In what capacity?
He's doing something to be an assistant with him, and
he
just wanted to come, and he said he didn't think I wanted him to come, and I said, no, I definitely want you to come. I want you to come, and I want you to look around the arena and see what you missed for all these years.
Yeah. I hear these stories, and it's so familiar to the UFC days when they were trying to get MMA legalized, right? It's the exact same thing. Old guard, and then new blood comes in, and that opens the door, and then you get in, and you're validated, right?
Absolutely.
It's we're seeing the same story play out.
I mean, look, we've been in business for 6 years now. It took us, I'd say, 4.5 years to get a little bit of respect. And now people really are starting to respect the product, the process, the platform, the fighters, and everything else about it. The growth that we're having, you can't deny numbers, right? And the numbers are going through the roof.
You recently did the deal with DAZN. Why did you pick DAZN? And are you happy with the deal as it stands right now?
DAZN is a great partner for us, and we picked DAZN specifically because they had a huge boxing crowd. And we had always a big MMA following.
Yeah.
So it was time for us to really reach over into the boxing crowd and get the boxing following to attach with the MMA following, and it's the numbers are really doing very, very well in the zone. They're very happy, and we're very happy.
Why do you think that is? Why does it seem like MMA media, MMA fighters, like why does it seem like you guys are treated more like an MMA promotion, right, by proxy, as opposed to boxing, when in reality you're more like a boxing promotion than an MMA promotion?
I think just because we started off with a lot of MMA fighters,
okay,
right? And the MMA fan base was there, and that's who attached to us first. Now we're getting a lot of interest from boxing, and it's pretty crazy right now.
What about the media, and not just like the actual like MMA/boxing media? I'm sure you have a great media team behind you. Bernie's the man. I love Bernie, your PR guy, among your others as well. When people are starting to pitch you guys to get some mainstream media, if you will, non-fight media, are you getting a lot of pushback? Because I remember those stories from Dana as well, how no one wanted to cover them, how the New York Times would look away.
We were, but we just had a Forbes piece last week. We got some pretty good stuff coming up too, as well. A lot of documentaries that are interested in doing some things with us now. So I think the tide has certainly changed. It took a long time. It took a lot of hard work. It took a lot of just pushing it in people's faces, and here we are.
Is it surreal to be living in the moment that you probably dreamed of? Like, man, if only I could get the respect here. If only we could get in the door here. If only we could get a deal like a DAZN deal here. And now you're actually living it. Do you find that surreal? Is that hard to process?
It's definitely hard to process. It's something that a lot of times I look at and I go, man, this is so hard, because this is not easy. I don't wish this on anybody. Like, you have to have thick skin, and you have to really have a goal and know exactly what you want to be able to do something like this. This is not easy. The no's, the not finding the money, everybody trying to shut you down and do different things to kind of sabotage what you're doing. So you have to be a special type of person to do this, and it's hard to live in the moment. But I know on January 25th, I'm going to be inside the Wells Fargo Center, where I saw the Sixers play, the Flyers play, concerts. I was at a Drake concert with my daughter and my wife about almost a year ago, and I just looked around and I said, babe, I'm going to sell this place out.
Wow.
She was like, I know you are, honey. And I was like, here we are. Like, we weren't legal then.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, we're selling out the Wells Fargo Center. It's really a feather in our hat, and to all the hard work that our team put in, it's really unbelievable for us, man. I'm so happy about this one. This one is the best moment in our career.
It's great to see, and I could feel it. When you say sabotage, like people were sabotaged, what do you mean by that?
They'll call commissions. They'll say, don't allow this kind of stuff.
Really?
Yeah, they'll call venues.
Who's doing this?
Different promotions.
Really?
Different regulators. Like, some regulators that didn't want us in the past, they would call other regulators and say, don't regulate it. Don't regulate them. Or, I'm not going to let you in this state. If, different things like that just went on a lot. Like, at the beginning, it was really, really bad. It was bad. Like, if you referee, like a couple of referees, if you ref for them, you'll never ref in our state again. And
wow,
a couple of our referees were like, well, I'm reffing with them. Loyalty is a hard thing to come by, and a couple of our guys are very, very loyal.
And so at this juncture, how many states are you legal in?
So I would rather reverse that and say we're only not legal in 2 that we're trying to get into right now.
Interesting.
So there's not a lot there's a couple more that we're not really trying to get into. Why? We're not going to do a show there right now. And I don't want to make them go through the whole process, do all the work, and then we can't even do a show there. So there's only 2 really right now that we're not legal in that, hopefully in the next year we're there. And that's Nevada and New York.
Okay. All right. Those are some big dogs. Yeah. How confident are you that you can get those done in the next year?
I mean, numbers, I think numbers tell the story. And when we do what we're going to do January 25th, and what we've done for 6 years, and just pushing the envelope and doing these great shows and getting great numbers on viewership and creating tax revenue for the state, it's going to be hard for them to say no.
And so, okay, so could I just ask, just for the record,
Sure.
How many are you actually legal in at this point?
I think we're actually legal and approved in 32.
Okay, which is very significant. Yeah. That wasn't the case, just a couple of years ago, right?
Not at all.
And so I remember when the UFC hired Mark Ratner, former Nevada State Athletic Commissioner, to come on. That was a huge move, and maybe not a move that like the casual fan would understand how big it is, but he helped them get into all these states, right? Given his relationships and his knowledge. Do you have your version of Ratner doing this?
We got kind of two guys that are really helping us. One is Adam Rohrbach. He's the former athletic commissioner of the Kansas State Athletic Commission. And Sean Wheelock, who is obviously commentary, but he was also, I think, the director of the MMA Rules and Regulations Committee for the ABC. So he knew a lot of commissioners, and they're both really pushing it for us, and we're getting great reception.
Okay. You mentioned
last year, just so you know, last year we actually got approved by the we have what's it called? Bare knuckle. I think it's unified bare knuckle rules with the Association of Boxing Commissioners now. So now, if a new state wants to come in and regulate us, it's easy for them to because they have a guideline now.
Okay, and who put together those rules?
Sean Wheelock.
Sean Wheelock. Yeah. Okay, wow. I got to work with Sean at the Tyson Paul fight, and that was a great experience for the first time. You mentioned loyalty, and I heard you did an interview recently with MMA Fighting, and you were asked about Conor McGregor, who's been a big part of your 2024. Sure. And quite frankly, I thought your answer was a great one, and not because it was like some PR answer, but it seemed like it came from the heart. And you were asked about Conor's, the end of the year for him, obviously troublesome and a very difficult one with the civil trial and whatnot. And so what you were saying was essentially, I'm a loyal guy, and where I come from, you don't just drop someone in their lowest moment. You stick with them because he has stuck with us.
Sure.
Is that a fair
Absolutely.
Summation of how you feel?
Look, whatever may have happened, and whatever the accusations was, I'm not getting involved with that. What I'm getting involved in is a guy that was with us, our partner, our friend, was kicked when he was down, and we're not going to kick him when he was down. We're going to help lift him back up, and that's what we're trying to do. Because I believe that if you're with somebody, you're with somebody 100 times. My dad has a saying that you can't be 99% loyal. You're either 100% or get out of here. You can't be with someone 99 times, and the 100th time it goes wrong, you turn your back on them. You're with them all the time. So if we're with them, we're taking the ride with him, and we're going all the way with him.
Did you get any sort of pushback? Did anyone try to convince you otherwise?
Some sponsors push back a little bit, but I mean, when I explain it to them the way that I'm explaining it to you now, they kind of held on to it, and they understood what I was saying.
Okay. How could I ask? I mean, you could feel free to say, take a hike. What percentage of the company does he own?
Take a hike.
Take a hike. Okay. Is that the fair?
He does own a fairly significant amount of the company. He really does. I mean, not, he's a decent sized owner. He has a good stake in this company. So for him to make this company grow, it would be very, very worthwhile for him.
Yeah, and you could see it. Did you think he would be this into it?
No.
Like his whole Twitter feed is bare knuckle stuff.
No, man, it's crazy, man. Yes. It's really unbelievable the way what he's doing. It's fantastic. I thought that he was going to be into this, but I thought he was. So we have a guideline of what he has to do.
Got it.
And he's over delivered 100 times.
Right.
Maybe 1,000 times. He really over delivered. I mean, he's unbelievable partner, unbelievable guy for us to be with, unbelievable guy for the brand, and we'll see what happens with his fighting career, and hopefully one day he takes the gloves off.
Yeah. And so the breakdown right now, do you still own a piece of the company?
Yeah, of course.
He owns a piece?
Yeah.
Is Triller still involved?
Triller is.
They are still involved.
Yes.
Are they not going to be involved? What's the status of the relationship with Triller?
I think that everything is going to work out with Triller.
Okay.
They have a new guy that's in charge of everything there. They have a lot of money coming in, and I'm actually going to Taiwan on Tuesday to meet with the owner of the parent company.
Oh, wow.
And I think we're going to be funded to really take this thing off.
Wow. Are there any other players involved as far as ownership, investment?
Yeah, actually, Fubo TV.
Oh, really?
They own a small percentage of us, and then there's some private investors.
Okay. All right. So you're in a good spot financially. In fact, you're predicting that you will be in the black this year, right?
Yes.
Wow. First time?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
How does that feel?
Well, it feels like the first event, we did all these views. Everybody was watching us. We were trending #1 on Twitter, and I was like, man, we must have made a lot of money, and found out a lot about piracy that night.
Yeah.
And we got robbed, but I was still, we had millions of people watching, and I was like, man, because at first I projected profitability on fight #1.
Wow.
Didn't happen, but to project profitability right at the end of 2025 and into 2026, it explodes.
Wow.
Yeah. Especially if we get these media deals that we're talking with now, some bigger media deals on some of the things that we're working on.
And so when you say media deals, would that be in addition to the DAZN deal here in North America?
Yes, absolutely. But it could also be with DAZN. So
interesting.
We're some other media companies are talking to us now, but we love the relationship with DAZN. We're going to go back to them and see.
But you just did the DAZN deal, right? Wasn't it in September? It was announced.
It was September. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was it, a 4-month deal? Like, how can you be in talks with more media to split up the deal?
Well, there's a certain amount of fights that we're doing, right?
Got it. Okay.
And there's also the big tournament that we're probably going to talk about that we're doing, and that's what we're looking at for a big media partner for that one.
Okay. With the DAZN deal, is there any pay-per-view? Like the 25th, is that pay-per-view?
It's not pay-per-view. We were going to do it on pay-per-view, but we're not. But we have 2 pay-per-views a year with DAZN, minimum of 2.
I thought maybe a KnuckleMania, which we're looking at the poster right here, would be pay-per-view worthy. Why did you not go that route?
I just wanted to get more viewership on the DAZN for the product.
Yeah,
that's really what I wanted to do.
Okay.
I thought it's more important for us right now to have more eyeballs than to have more revenue.
Yeah, it makes total sense, especially as you say with piracy and whatnot.
Yeah,
you might as well.
It's hard to control it now.
Yes,
it really is.
Okay, and so what about this tournament? You announced recently a $25 million tournament, and is this accurate? You're having this idea, and then you do an interview and you kind of throw it out there before it's all kind of set in stone.
Yeah.
And like you're like, all right, 25 million, here we go.
So we talked about it during the day, and it was 10 million, and I was like, it's just not enough. And I mean, it's a lot of
number.
It's a lot of money, but when you spread it around the right way, it's just not enough. 25 was a number, and I live like you jump off a building and you build a parachute on the way down. You just figure it out. And I did that interview. I think it was with Sirius, and they asked me, what do you have planned for 2025? And I said, we're going to launch this $25 million fight tournament. And they're like, $25 million fight tournament? And I'm like, man, I just said that? I really just said that? But we figured it out.
So is it a done deal?
It's a done deal. We're funded on it.
Wow.
It's fantastic.
Okay, so what is it?
Everybody called. Everybody called after that event. Investors. Crazy.
What is the breakdown? What is the tournament?
So it's going to be, we're going to do 4 major tryouts around the world. We're going to do 1 in the United States, 1 in Spain, I believe 1 in Australia, and 1 in the Middle East. And then we're going to do these qualifying rounds. It's going to be a total of 10 events.
Okay.
Throughout 9 to 10 months. We're scheduling that right now. It's going to start, the first fight's going to be around June. It's going to happen in the United States. It's going to happen in Spain. It's going to happen in the Middle East, Australia, and I forget the 5th country right now. We're working on the final right now. That's right. We had 3 countries bidding on it right now. One of them is an African country. One of them is a European country, and the United States. So we're working on that right now to see where the finals are going to be. But the real money comes down to the final 8. Obviously everybody's getting paid for all their fights leading up to it, but the real money gets broken down in the final 8. The winner will walk away with $15 million.
Wow. Okay, so the first 10 million gets dispersed. How many fighters total, you think?
64.
64. And is it true that the weight classes, like it's a big range, right?
I don't know
what is
what
this,
it's
like open weight
yet. So we're doing this. We're doing the we're going to put the call out for the applications next week, actually. When we just whispered it the first time, we got 10,000. We're anticipating about 20,000 real applications. We're putting a fee on it, and we're only putting a fee on it for one reason. We're going to refund it to them, or we're going to give them a grab bag. We're going to do something. We're not trying to make money on it. We just don't want them wasting our time.
Right.
There's going to be so many people coming in on this thing. So we're anticipating 20,000 applications. We're going to narrow it down to 64, and then we're going to do all the rounds.
And so like it.
So the weight.
Yeah.
The weight, it could be a lighter weight, which would be around 135 to 165. But
that's a big gap.
Yeah, it is.
So like, could it be that a 35er fights a 65er?
At the end only.
Okay.
At the end only.
And
but I'm leaning towards more. I think it's going to be 175 to 275. And the same thing is a 75er could fight a heavyweight in the finals only.
Sure.
Or in the final 8.
Yeah. And that might be an issue with the commission, though, no?
No, I got approval from almost every commission so far.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
I did all my homework on this. I didn't just throw it. I threw everything else out there, but when I knew we were going to talk and everybody was going to ask me questions, I had to have my stuff done. And almost every commission said, we can do that, but the same way, let's do it towards the finals.
Got it. And will the big names on your roster be involved, or is this more to find new talent?
I think it's both. It's a combination of both. I couldn't, alienate the guys that already fight for me, the guys that built this company. I can't alienate them. But I think we're going to build 8 to 10 to 12 to 24, who knows, new stars out of this thing. And I think that's really the whole purpose of this thing, is to build new stars and create a spectacle. It's a spectacle.
Sure.
And it's the world's baddest man. who's the world's baddest man. And listen, I know people are going to say, well, you're not grappling, you're not kicking, you're not elbowing. Okay, but you're fighting with bare knuckles, and this is the format that we're doing, and it's going to be the world's baddest man. And I think everybody in the world, not fight fans, everybody would want to know if that guy had the title. Like if you, Ariel, were the world's baddest man, everybody would, yo, that's the world's baddest man. I want to take a picture with the world's baddest man, right? So it's just a cool thing that we're doing, the world's baddest man. 25 million, 5 continents, 8 countries, 10 events, and we're going to cash out on this thing.
And so that could be sold to someone other than DAZN.
It could be, but I'm confident in our partnership with DAZN, and I'm confident they're going to pick it up.
Okay. Now, so like, let's say a Mike Perry, he could be involved if it fits. All right.
Yeah. I mean, look, it would be a price reduction for him, a purse reduction for him to fight in the
early rounds,
in the opening rounds. So he's going to have to risk that. But yes.
But then it could pay off on the back end.
It could really pay off.
Where do things stand with Mike? He was on the show. He seemed unhappy. It seemed like he wanted to fight on this card in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I get it, but we didn't need him, meaning he's a high-priced fighter, and we didn't need that extra purse expense on this one. So we're going to do another one, a big show, the end of March, beginning of April. We're working on it right now, and Mike will be back.
Okay. Do you feel like it was a mistake to take the Jake Paul fight?
He made money, I think. I think he made pretty good money.
Yeah.
I think that he built up this enigma of who he was with bare knuckle, really like the world's baddest man, like the most violent person in the world.
King of violence, right?
King of violence,
yeah.
Right? And to go over to boxing for the payday, at the end of the day, I think it was a mistake. I think it was okay. Look, he made money. It was a different sport. I get it, and some things happened where he announced his own promotion during that fight week, which didn't make us very happy. So we were a little taken back by that, and that's why there's probably been a little pause. But we've talked to his management team, we talked to Mike, he's been out to our events, and he's coming back.
Okay, so did you not know that he was going to announce Dirty Boxing that week?
I did not.
Oh, wow, okay. You would have appreciated the heads up.
Of course.
Do you feel like it's competition?
I don't. I just feel like the part of us allowing the Jake Paul fight to happen was getting promotion that fight week, right? Why else would we do it?
Yeah.
We had nothing to win if we didn't do it that way. We weren't getting paid on it. So if we didn't get the promotion, we didn't have anything to win. But at the end of the day is, people do different things. And Mike is a good person. I like Mike, and he helped build this company. He did, and he's coming back.
When you reach out to him and his team, why didn't you give us the heads up? What was their response?
Oh, we did. But they didn't.
Okay.
Maybe it was going so fast. Maybe they thought that they did.
Yeah.
They didn't. But it's cool, man. Look, they're all good guys. I like them all. But at the end of the day, is we just would have appreciated it.
Sure.
That's where the Conor, you're fired thing came from.
Well,
it didn't come from getting beat by Jake Paul at all. It came from that. That's where it came from.
If you go back to the tweets, it seemed like he was annoyed by the dirty boxing stuff, right? And so did you know he was going to tweet that?
No.
Okay.
Do you know anything Conor does?
So how do you clean that up, for lack of a better word?
Like, I mean, at the end of the day, it just wrote its course. And
okay.
Then we had conversations, and it is what it is. It's a fight game, man.
Yeah.
It's so volatile. So many things happen. So many people say things they shouldn't say at the wrong time, or they do the wrong thing. It's the fight game, man. It's not an easy business to be in. There's not a lot of great people in the fight game. There really, truly isn't.
Right. I was on social media, and speaking of tweets and whatnot, and Conor's upset about the post-fight interviews and about some guys not getting the post-fight interviews, and he says that he's going to pull the DAZN deal. Now, I'm reading this, and I like to think that I have a little bit of knowledge of how the fight game works in TV, and my first reaction is, I think BKFC produces the events, not DAZN, so it technically would be your call, not theirs.
Okay. I told him that afterwards when he pulled it down. Look, again, the thing you love about the guy, he's passionate.
Yeah.
Passionate as hell, but he's dead right. You build the stars when you put the mic in front of their face, right? They have to fight good, but then you put the mic in front of their face. Sure. That's how you build them. So that's, I get his point, but at the end of the day, at that venue, we had an early timeout. We had to be out of there by 11. It was a 11 o'clock hard stop, so we didn't have the time on that show. But it's definitely something we need to implement more, because we want to hear from the fighters.
Yeah. No, I mean, look at his first fight, 50 G's, like that put him on the rocket ship, right? And so he knows better than anyone. It's just kind of wild that he's watching, I think it was at the Hard Rock, right? Yeah. And he's that locked in to where he's upset that a guy's not getting a post-fight interview.
I know, like a lot of people, text me and said, "Look what he said! Look what he said! Look what he said!" And I calmed everything down, but I was like, "This is great.
Yeah,
this is unbelievable. The guy's all over it, right?
Yeah,
he's passionate about it. How often do you get someone that passionate about something? He's very passionate about this, and that's why we love him as a partner."
One of the big challenges I think that you have ahead of you, if I may, is that I think early on, and correct me if you feel otherwise, people are like, all right, this is fun. And we've talked originally, I was like, this is a little, and now I'm a huge fan. And I've said multiple times, if there's one promotion outside of the UFC that I would, invest in, buy stock in, it's you guys. I think what you guys are doing compared to the others, it's not even a question who's on, this trajectory.
Sure.
But there was a lot of these sort of like older guard that was coming over that we knew already. They were established. We're emotionally invested in them. We know Mike Perry. We know MVP. We know Luke Rockhold, Eddie Alvarez, Jeremy Stevens, even a Paulie or an Artem, a Page, etc. Now the key is, how do you build your own guys? How do you build your own stars? How does that happen? Because that to me is what's going to differentiate you guys from just like the place where older fighters go to retire, or the place where people say like, forget all that, I'm starting my career here, right?
Yeah, we're bringing a couple guys over from the WWE. They're going to work with storytelling, with character development. That's a big part of 25 is, but between 25 and 26 is really building our own stars. So I don't think we're going to run into that problem. We have a series called the Prospect Series, then we have the Fight Night, then we have the numbered shows, we have pay-per-view. We have all these different levels that we can build these stars from, and that's really what we're going to do. We're giving them media training. We're doing everything that we can do possibly to make these guys stars. And I think that we're giving them a great platform to become a star. So I do feel very, very confident that by the end of 25, we have some of our own homebred stars. As a matter of fact, we have the highest grossing gate at the Hard Rock Casino ever with only BKFC stars.
Wow.
No outside
The one
stars.
in Hollywood, Florida?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a feather in our hat there as well.
And I was just talking to someone about this. I was talking to someone, a longtime fighter who's now more kind of on the back end of his career, about the GFL. And we were talking about the GFL and the PFL and some of these like newer promotions.
Right.
And I said, all of them haven't learned from history. The one who did it best, other than Dana and Lorenzo and Frank, was Scott Coker, in my opinion, Strikeforce era. Because when you would go to those San Jose shows, the undercard were just a bunch of local guys that no one ever heard of. They sold 80% of the tickets. And then at the top, you'd have some name guys, but those weren't really moving the needle from a gate standpoint. They weren't building the company. Now this show that you have in Philly, to me, is a Strikeforce show. And I say that with great, with great reverence, because it's all local guys that are selling the tickets, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Eddie at the top is a local guy, but a lot of the maybe like lesser known fighters, you have put them on your undercard to help move the needle.
Yep. When you promote, I promoted for a long time. So when you promote these local shows, you get guys that sell 200-300 tickets, and that's like, wow, that's a home run. I got guys that took 700 tickets, 900 tickets, 1,500 tickets.
That's absurd.
It's crazy. So yes, I think that's such a recipe to our success. Is we do have a local-ish feel on the undercard of all our shows, and then the main event and some of the fight nights and some of the prospects are also local. And the bigger shows, they don't have to be the local guys because all the undercards selling the tickets for us. And the thing that's so important about BKFC is, and I hope that you're there January 25th, because we're going to talk about that. I hope that you're there, because when you see it live, although you have become a fan, and we really truly appreciate all the love that you've given us recently. When you see it in person, it's going to 10x.
Yeah,
it's going to 10x, 100%. You see this thing in person, it's game over. There's no other combat sport better than this, meaning more exciting, more fan engaging, keeps your attention the whole entire time than Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship.
I believe it. My guys back there were like, we need to go. I don't know if I could go, but they want to go. We can talk about that. We get to.
I think you're coming.
I'm
going to put a bet out there that Ariel Helwani will be at January.
I don't. We'll see. But you got a bunch of guys back there who really want to come and who love the product as well. We were talking about Philly and where you're from. I have to ask you this question. I've been dying this whole time to ask you this question. I'm almost building up to it. This morning, I'm on my Peloton. I like to do some of my research before the show. And I put your name in YouTube, and I stumble upon a YouTube video that has probably like 600 views. That's it. This is the thumbnail. Do you know this video? Rags to Riches, the incredible story of David Feldman from underground fighting to BKFC by an account called League Alerts. 498 views. This was posted 6 months ago.
Never saw that.
David, I watched this video. This is a video narrated by a young man. He sounds young, about your story. I'm watching this and I'm like, this is total BS. So the first thing I wanted to do was ask you if you knew of that video.
Yeah.
You've never seen the video. And now I have to ask you, and I'm going to like recap the story for you because I had never heard this before. Okay. So this is me doing a recap version of your upbringing.
Right.
Okay. So I don't know how this young man has this. I think he read it in a book. But basically what he told me was, and I hope you don't mind me bringing this up, about your upbringing, you know, you have a bit of a troubled relationship with your father. Your parents divorced at a young age.
Right.
Are you okay with me bringing this up? Your parents divorced and your mom has a boyfriend.
Right.
And there's a horrible incident that happens to your mother.
Right.
Is this accurate?
Yes.
I'm watching this video, David. This is like not even out of a movie. Like I can't even believe it. Are you uncomfortable with me bringing this up?
I mean, I'm always uncomfortable, but I'm not. It's my story.
People need to know this.
My story.
Are you okay?
I'm not uncomfortable. I get feelings, right?
Sure.
My mom is
your mother,
my idol, my hero, and everything that she went through. When you're going to get to the story, and I'll tell after that.
I'd almost rather you tell the story, but if you want me to recap it real, okay. So this is what I gathered.
I didn't.
Okay, so I'm watching this and I'm like, this has got to be made up because it's so mind blowing. In short, your parents divorce, and what I gather from the interview or the video is that your mom is dating a guy who is very abusive towards her, and there's a horrible incident where eventually he injures her to the point where she becomes a paraplegic. Quadriplegic, excuse me. And you do not know who this man is. You cannot find him. You have no sort of intel on him until you're working at a bar and you meet a girl who you eventually ask what her last name is, and it's the same last name as the man who injured
attacker. Yeah.
Yes. And I mean, that alone is absurd. And then she tells you where he lives. You go to his house. You get into an altercation. I apologize for going through so much of it so quickly. And you stop short at maybe shooting him.
Yeah.
And then you clip his Achilles.
Yeah.
Where does this kid even find this information?
I think it was in my Rolling Stone piece.
It's an unbelievable story.
So Ariel, man, my mom got, she got thrown out of a car, run over. The guy took her to a cemetery, banged her head against the cemetery stone, put her back in the car, and dropped her at our house with footprints on her chest, and my mom could never walk again.
I'm so sorry.
It's a rough thing, man. But this is a woman that was a quadriplegic that couldn't move her hands or legs, and I have this painting in my office, and she painted it with a paintbrush in her mouth. And a lot of times I want to quit, right? This is hard. And I look at that and I'm like, man, how can I quit? She went through everything. But it was tough. And I finally, it was something that I got so much childhood trauma from that, man.
I can
It
imagine.
messed my whole life up, right? And
How old are you when this happens?
I was 8.
8 years old.
It says 6 in the magazine, but I was 8.
Okay.
And I looked for the guy and I found him. And one thing led to another, and I said, I clipped his Achilles, and I said, you'll never walk again, MFer, and this is what he did. Because when I told him who I was, he turned white as a ghost, and I knew it was him, and he was like, and I'm glad I didn't do anything more than that because I would have been in jail. But things like that happen, and I think that. I look back on that, and I think if I had to do it again 10 times, I would have done the same exact thing.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
It's your mother.
Yep.
And your mother, based on what I learned from this, like was really, through the tough times with your father, she was your rock, right?
Yeah.
You had an incredible relationship with her.
Absolutely.
Why didn't you move with her when your parents divorced?
She wasn't able to. They actually divorced after she was hurt.
Oh, okay.
So my dad divorced her when she was hurt. I mean, they were separated, but they officially got divorced, and she couldn't take care of us.
Is she still alive?
No.
Okay. When did she pass?
16 years ago.
Okay. And is your father still alive?
No, he passed about 7 years ago.
He was the one that got you into fighting.
Yeah.
He trained you and your
Trained
brother.
7 world champions. He was a professional fighter himself, 23-2 with 19 knockouts. Good fighter. Look, my father was a great man. Like, he was great to everybody. It's just me and him didn't have the best relationship. But I mean, a lot of people really love him. They respect him. You know, he was a bad dude, and he gave his shirt off his back to people. But you know, me and him just butted heads.
He was just tough on you, or you know?
Yeah, it was a lot to do with my mom.
Okay. And when you find out that your mom gets injured, are you 8 or do you only find out later? Like, were you in contact with her?
Yeah.
Oh, you were. Okay.
I remember seeing her. It's like the one vision, man. I lost almost all my childhood memories, but I see her going into this. We were in the room and they did the MRI machine, and then they had her strapped and they would turn her over, and that's the one memory I had.
Wow.
When she first got injured.
And did she not, like, why did
listen? I don't want everybody feeling bad for my mom. This is crazy, but let me tell you a little bit more about my mom. Please. My mom's paralyzed.
Yeah.
Crippled, can't do anything. She's taking numbers and she's, you know, like booking numbers at the nursing home she's in. She's selling them shots of alcohol that she has in the back. She was a hustler, man, like crippled. I mean, she couldn't move, and she's hustling stuff and making money. And that's where I got my hustle mentality from her and my dad, really. But wow. She was, you know, she never let anything stop her at all. It never stopped her. She was supposed to live 3 years, and she ended up living 30.
Wow. Did she try out for the Special Olympics?
Not Special Olympics, Paralympics.
Paralympics. Yes, of course. Yes, of course. Special. Yes. My apologies. What sport?
She was actually it was doing obstacles with the it wasn't a lot of physical stuff, but it was obstacles.
Did she make the team?
No.
Okay, but she, like, this shows her spirit to even do this.
Yeah. And then she graduated college after she got hurt. She went all over the world. She ended up in Washington State. She met a guy. She married him. He kind of took care of her a little bit. Then they moved back up here to Philadelphia with us, and then she ended up dying. And the story gets worse. Ariel, I found out that, you know, he actually put a pillow over her head.
The boyfriend.
The husband.
The husband. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. How do you find that out?
Through a little bit through the guy who did the autopsy told me that things weren't right, but he couldn't really rule it a homicide. And then when I saw the guy, I just knew something was wrong. I talked to her that day. She was perfect. She was great, and she died that night. And I know why. Because he was just getting tired of taking care of her.
Right.
Like, it was tough. He was getting tired of it. But at the end of the day, is like, that's not what you do. You don't do that. And I just broke his face open right on the street, and I left.
Holy shit! And how old are you?
Yeah, man. Look, dude, I'm not. If you didn't bring this up, I'm not bringing this up.
No, I know.
I don't want sympathy, man. I'm not.
No, but this is your story, and this is, by the way, this is why people need to root for you.
Yeah, man. And this is why I can never quit. I will never quit, man, because it's so easy to quit.
Right.
It's so hard to keep going. It's so hard to make everything happen, man. And we've been through so many obstacles in this, and all the obstacles through my life. Look, it messed me up, man. I'm being honest with you, man. I go to a therapist once or twice a week, every week to this point, because you know, I have trauma, and I'm trying to fix it. And I think I'm getting a long way with it, and I think I'm really becoming a way better husband, father, person, boss, colleague, everything. But you know, it took work, and nobody wants to do it. And I know a lot of people out there shit on therapy. They're like, oh, you got to be a real, you know, real puss or whatever if you got to go to therapy. But I think when you go to therapy, you don't even understand how hard it is. It's unbelievable. You're bringing everything up. For someone like me, like, I've been through a lot. I could really literally write a book. Maybe write 2 books, maybe make a movie. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see. If BKFC gets to be super successful, maybe even more super successful.
Yeah.
I think that we got it to a point where nobody thought it would ever be.
100%. 1,000,000%. And yes, I mean, I was watching that and I was like, oh, this is like someone just doing like some AI story to make you sound cool, because it was so unbelievable. By the way, how old are you when you get the last name of the attacker?
I was 32.
So it took from 8 to 32.
Yeah.
Why didn't your mom rat him out?
I think she lost her memory, because she kept saying she didn't know who it was. She didn't know who it was. And then my dad gave us the name, but she kept saying she didn't know who it was.
Wow. And it's the woman that you meet at the bar has the same last name.
Yeah.
How's that possible? Is she a relative?
Yeah.
Holy shit. That's like an angel coming.
It was her niece.
It was his niece.
His niece.
Holy shit. What are the chances?
It was crazy because I was married, but I was going through like at the end of my marriage then, my first marriage, and I was like, man, this girl's cute. This girl's cute. And I kept seeing her. It was a bar I owned, and she kept coming in, and then ended up talking to her. And then I found out her last name, and then I didn't say anything then. It was a couple more times I saw her. And then I'm like, are you related to this guy? And she's like, yeah. And I said, you know, talked a little more about it. And she's like, yeah. I said, I heard he doesn't live here anymore. Just like that. And she's like, no. He lives right up the street. I'm like, where? And she told me kind of where he lived. And then I looked it up. I had some friends that got me his address.
Fucking hell, man.
Crazy, man.
Crazy.
You never know. But that's what I say. Like, a lot of people will, you know, they'll talk shit on me. They don't know me. They don't know. I got a story. You might have a story. You might have a story. We all got stories, right? You don't know who's going through what in life. And, you know, it's what's their driving force, what makes them keep going, what makes them want to be the biggest thing in the world. I mean, I want to be the biggest and best thing that we can possibly be for that and for all the guys that helped us get here to where we are. I mean, you don't understand how hard this is. You really don't. I know you're on that side of it.
No,
on this side of it, it's death.
Can't imagine.
It's a death fight every day. But
we're
winning.
Fight. That's how you would categorize it.
It's unbelievable.
How close are you to tapping out? Not right now, but just like over this last 7-8 years. Well, you refer to it as death.
5-6 times.
Really?
Out. I quit. I was like, this is
enough
over.
of this shit.
And then the next day, I'm like, what are we doing? We're not doing it.
Yeah.
We're doing this. We're doing this. Look, you have to raise money all the time. You have to keep gas in the tank to keep it going. And you know, at times we ran out of gas and we had to find the gasoline. And we always found it because we got a great product and we got great people with us. And that's, I think, what's really important about it. But I think we're at a point right now, which I actually talked to my main guy. His name's Howard, who really helps me out and helps me raise a lot of my money. And he called me he's like, what's up? Like when he does that to me, he's like, what's up? I'm like, oh man, we got good news. He's like, we're about to break it wide open, buddy boy. We got this. And I'm like, wow, this is awesome. So he's got some things lined up for us.
Oh wow. I can't imagine how that feels.
I mean, it's all we need. And listen, every business in the world needs money, right? We all need money to grow the business, but we only need money now. We did everything else. We gained acceptance. We broke all the regulatory down. We got everybody to really understand what we're doing. We broke into mainstreamness a little bit, right? We got international. We did everything we had to do now. Now we just need the gas to get to the finish line.
Wow. And you know, the Conor deal, these are all like little steps along the way that you probably never would have imagined, right? When you probably had like you know what I mean? Like, in the next 5 years.
The first thing that really kind of happened was like this type of experiences. I was sitting at my kitchen table and I get this FaceTime call from a 305 number and I didn't know who it was. I hung up and he texts me. He goes, "Yo, pick up, it's Shaq." Like, Shaq's texting me? I mean, FaceTiming me? And then I got on the phone with him and he said, "I want to come to the event. I want to talk to you." What a cool guy. But that's where it all started with Shaq. And then he told people. That's a few
years ago, right?
Yeah. That was back in right around the pandemic.
Okay.
And then, we just kept the pedal on the metal, and Conor McGregor came in, Mike Perry came in. Paige Van Zandt was actually a real needle mover for us.
Huge, yeah.
Not because she was the greatest fighter in the world, but she can fight. And a lot of people say, "Oh, she's not that great." She fought very valiantly with us, and she fought great. And she was just at the Hard Rock event, and I asked her if she's coming back, and she said, "Yeah, I have to do one more."
There is one left on her deal, right?
Yeah. So, but because, she's a good-looking woman, and everybody said, why would she want to get punched with bare knuckles? But it's like they get so much more. So if Paige was to fight in, let's just say, Bellator at the time, people would have said, "Oh, she signed with Bellator." But when she signed with bare knuckle, they go, "Paige is fighting bare knuckle? She's going to get hit with a bare knuckle?"
I had that reaction.
So that was the first needle mover. And then, some of the other guys that we signed back then, and then Paulie Malignaggi and Artem Lobov was a big one for us at that time. That was only our fifth event. And then Mike Perry, and then all these guys are signing with us now. And our viewership on Fubo, just so you know, we have the 11th most watched program in Fubo sports history.
Wow.
And that's only under Ronaldo and Messi soccer matches. So
wow.
we really have the #1 all-time, most watched show on Fubo sports. So our viewership is there. Our ticket sales are there. It's just, getting a little bit more mainstream, getting a little bit of, more people to believe in us. And I think we're 2 years away from being in an unbelievable spot.
By the way, Robbie Lawler, Mike Perry, that's the one. That's got to be the one, right? He's sitting there. I saw him. Is it about getting the UFC approval?
Yeah, we're working on it.
Are they going to let it? Does Robbie want to do it?
Yeah.
So it's just about that?
Yeah.
And when you say working on it, what does that entail?
We're working on it with the UFC.
Man, that would be insane.
Yeah, that's a sick fight,
That's
right?
I mean, is
it
possible that would be the next one for Mike?
Yeah, I'll know in 2 weeks.
Okay.
And if it doesn't happen then it'll be someone else and then possibly him. But a lot of people are calling out Mike Perry now. And it was good because this is actually the good thing about the Jake Paul fight, because now everybody wants to fight him.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But nobody wanted to fight him.
Yeah, before.
Like they were scared to death of him, and now, but they're forgetting that this is still bare knuckle. It's not boxing. They're not going to box Mike Perry.
Sure.
They're going to fight Mike Perry, and that's a difference.
Perry Till is one that I want to see, but I don't know if it's going to happen, right?
We're talking to him too.
Oh, really? Jeez.
We'll see.
Yeah. You're talking to everyone.
Talking to everyone.
By the way, I got to imagine you coming up to Dana and being like, hey, back in the day, didn't you have a lot of doors slammed in your face? And he's like, yeah, your thing's not going to work out, That's got to be a motivating thing, right?
It's great, man.
Great.
And then I met him.
After the fact?
Out at his office.
Oh, right, yes.
We talked for a little bit.
Did you remind him of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he did say, he's like, that's what people like we need. We need someone like that to light a fire under their ass.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So,
incredible.
Yeah, man, it was that was a fire for sure. That was at the Revel Casino in Atlantic City a long time ago. I jumped over the barricade and I just tapped him on the shoulder and I was like, yo, I want to talk to you about this bare knuckle thing I'm doing. He goes, yeah, I heard of it. He goes, get out of here. You'll never get it regulated. You'll never get it sanctioned. It ain't going to work. And I was like, isn't that what they said to you? I'll see you at the top. And then I walked away and I'm like, I just said to Dana White, I'll see him at the top. Like, this is crazy. And listen, we're not competing with Dana White.
Of course.
But some people are mentioning us as we could be the next UFC now. And I'm like, wow, man, what a come up.
And now you're going to blow his gate out of the water.
We're going to do it.
Yeah, amazing. Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
everything. January 25th on DAZN, subscription only, no pay-per-view, which is tremendous.
Yep.
Love Ben Rothwell as well. Rowdy Beck on there.
Taylor Starling, that's going to be a great one.
Tremendous, and I adore the Underground King, Eddie Alvarez, going up against Jeremy Stevens. That's a great fight. That face-off was great with them a couple of months ago or a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
that was tremendous.
I can't wait to get that back, the press conference on the 23rd.
That's right.
It'd be nice.
I wish you guys the best. Good luck. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for sharing some stuff.
It's nice to be here.
Yes.
Awesome.
You're welcome anytime. Thanks for watching this video. Hey, before you go, do me a favor. Hit that sub button. Give us a thumbs up. Hit the little bell thingy as well. Leave us a nice comment or two. We appreciate you all very much.